The meeting room was bigger than anything Taimin had ever seen. The ceiling stretched so high above him that he could barely see where it ended. Lights floated in the air without any wires holding them up. The walls were made of something that looked like glass but changed colors every few seconds. Blue, then green, then purple. It was beautiful and strange at the same time. Taimin sat in a chair that was too big for him. His feet barely touched the floor. He was a human, and humans were not very tall compared to most aliens in the galaxy. Around him sat representatives from dozens of different worlds. Some had scales, some had fur, some looked like they were made of rocks or crystals. One alien near him seemed to be made entirely of water, floating in a clear container. He was the captain of a small merchant ship called the Horizon's Edge. His ship carried goods from one planet to another. Nothing special, nothing exciting. Just a regular job that paid enough to keep him and his crew alive. He had no idea why the Galactic Council had asked him to come to this meeting. The message had been clear: attend or face serious consequences. So here he was, sitting in a chair too big for him, surrounded by aliens who barely looked at him. At the front of the room stood Ambassador Vexel. The ambassador was tall, maybe 3 times taller than Taimin. His body was made of something that looked like blue crystal. Light seemed to come from inside him, making him glow softly. When he moved, his body made a sound like wind chimes. His voice was deep and echoed through the entire room. "Thank you all for coming," Vexel said. His voice was so loud that Taimin felt it in his chest. "We have called this emergency meeting to discuss a serious matter. A matter of life and death for many species in our galaxy." The room became very quiet. Even the aliens who had been whispering to each other stopped talking. Everyone looked at the ambassador. Vexel raised one of his crystal arms. A hologram appeared in the middle of the room. It showed a map of the galaxy with thousands of stars and planets. One area was marked in red. "This is Sector 7, Vexel said. "For many years we have known about a planet in this sector, a planet that we have declared forbidden. No one is allowed to go there. No one is allowed to study it. No one is allowed to even talk about it in public." The hologram changed. Now it showed a single planet. It looked blue and green and white from space. It looked almost peaceful. Beautiful even. "But recently," Vexel continued, "several ships have gone missing near this sector. We believe they tried to land on this planet. None of them survived. We must warn everyone again about the dangers of this world. We call it Planet X7749. Others call it the Deathworld." Whispers filled the room. Aliens turned to each other with worried looks. Some made sounds that Taimin's translator device could not understand. Fear. That's what he heard in those sounds. Pure fear. Vexel's glow became brighter. "Let me show you why this planet is so dangerous." The hologram changed again. Now it showed numbers and graphs. "The gravity on this planet is extreme. Most species would be crushed instantly if they tried to land there. Their bones would break. Their bodies would collapse under their own weight." More whispers. More fear. "The atmosphere contains toxins that are deadly to 98% of known species," Vexel went on. "Just breathing the air would kill most of you within minutes. Your lungs would fill with fluid. You would drown in your own blood." Taimin leaned forward in his chair. Something about this planet seemed familiar. Very familiar. "The weather on this planet is chaos," the ambassador said. "Storms with winds strong enough to tear apart metal. Rain that is acidic and burns through protective suits. Temperature changes so extreme that water turns to ice in one area and boils in another, sometimes on the same day." The hologram showed images now. Images of terrible storms. Images of lightning that split the sky. Images of waves taller than buildings crashing against shores. "And the life forms." Vexel's voice became even more serious. "This planet is covered with predators. Creatures with teeth and claws. Creatures with venom. Creatures that hunt in packs. Even the plants are dangerous. Some of them can trap and digest anything that touches them. Others produce toxins so powerful that just being near them can cause death." Images of strange animals appeared in the hologram. Taimin saw creatures that looked like cats but with huge teeth. Birds with talons as long as his arm. Fish with more teeth than seemed possible. Insects the size of his hand. Snakes thick enough to swallow him whole. "The water that covers most of this planet is filled with creatures that see anything as food," Vexel said. "Creatures with multiple rows of teeth. Creatures with tentacles. Creatures that can inject venom with a single touch. Even the smallest creatures in the water can kill." Some are invisible to most scanning equipment. Taemin's eyes grew wide. He knew this planet. He knew every single thing the ambassador was describing. The gravity, the atmosphere, the storms, the predators, the dangerous water. He knew all of it because he had grown up there. He had lived there for 25 years before he left to work in space. There is no safe place on this entire planet, Vexel said. Even areas that seem calm can turn deadly in moments. Earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, tsunamis. This planet tries to kill everything on it, every single day. It is the most hostile environment we have ever discovered. No species could possibly evolve there. No species could possibly survive there. It is simply impossible. The ambassador looked around the room at all the assembled representatives. This is why Planet X7749 remains forbidden. This is why we must ensure that no one ever tries to land there again. The death toll would be catastrophic. We would lose entire crews, entire ships. The risk is simply too great. Taemin couldn't help himself. A smile started to form on his face. Then the smile became bigger. He tried to stop it, but he couldn't. Soon he was grinning widely. An alien sitting next to him noticed. It was a creature covered in gray fur with 6 arms. "Why do you smile, small one?" the alien asked. "Do you not understand the danger?" Other aliens nearby heard the question. They turned to look at Taemin. More and more eyes focused on him. Eyes of different colors and different shapes. Some aliens had 2 eyes. Some had 6. One had what looked like 100 tiny eyes covering its entire head. Vexel stopped talking. The hologram froze. The ambassador's crystal body turned toward Taemin. "Captain Taemin," Vexel said, "do you have something to share with the council?" Taemin stood up from his too big chair. He was still smiling. He couldn't stop smiling even though he knew he should probably look more serious. But how could he look serious when the entire Galactic Council was treating his home planet like it was the most dangerous place in the universe? "That's Terra," Taemin said simply. Silence filled the room. Complete and total silence. "What did you say?" Vexel asked. Taemin's smile became even wider. "That planet you're talking about. Planet X7749, we call it Terra. Or Earth, it's my homeworld. I was born there. I grew up there. I lived there for 25 years before I became a merchant captain." The silence continued for a few more seconds. Then the room exploded with noise. Every alien in the room started talking at once. Some were shouting. Some were making sounds that Taemin's translator couldn't handle. The device in his ear kept saying error, 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 as it tried to translate dozens of different languages, all speaking at the same time. Ambassador Vexel raised both of his crystal arms high in the air. A loud sound came from him, like a bell being struck. The sound was so loud that everyone stopped talking immediately. The room became quiet again. "Captain Taemin," Vexel said slowly. His voice sounded different now. Not angry, not scared, just confused. "Are you saying that you are from planet X7749? The Deathworld we have been discussing?" "Yes," Taemin said. He was still smiling. "Born and raised. Grew up in a city called Seoul. Spent my summers at the beach. Went hiking in the mountains. Normal stuff." A small alien near the front of the room stood up. It looked like a large insect with 4 wings. "Impossible," it said in a high voice. "The gravity alone would crush you. Your bones are too thin. Your body is too weak. You would die instantly." Taemin shrugged. "The gravity feels normal to me. I mean, sure, when I first went to other planets with lower gravity, I felt really light. I could jump higher than I expected. I had to be careful not to break things because I didn't know my own strength anymore. But on Terra, the gravity is just normal. That's what I grew up with." Another alien stood up. This one was covered in thick scales and had a long tail. "The atmosphere is toxic. You cannot possibly breathe that air. You would need protective equipment, special filters, advanced technology to survive even 1 hour. I breathed that air every day for 25 years, Taemin said. Never needed any equipment. Just my lungs. Same lungs I'm using right now to breathe your filtered station air. Actually, your air feels a bit thin to me. Not enough oxygen. I get tired more easily here than I did back home." Vexel's crystal body started to glow brighter. "Captain, this is very serious. Are you claiming that your entire species comes from this planet? That there are more like you?" "More than 8 billion of us last time I checked," Taemin said. "Though I've been away for a few years, so maybe the number has changed." "Humans are good at making more humans," the room erupted again, this time even louder than before. 8 billion. 8 billion creatures living on a planet that should be impossible to survive on. It seemed like a joke. It seemed like a lie. Tae-min reached into his pocket and pulled out a small device, his communication pad. He pressed a few buttons. Maybe you'd like to hear from my crew? They're all human too. All from Terra. A hologram appeared above Tae-min's pad. It showed 3 faces. 3 humans. His crew. Hey, Captain, said the first face. It was Jiwoo, his pilot. She had short black hair and a friendly smile. What's going on? Your message sounded urgent. Jiwoo, can you tell these nice aliens where you're from? Tae-min asked. Jiwoo looked confused but answered anyway. Busan, it's a port city on Terra, why? And Heejin? Tae-min turned to the second face on the hologram. His engineer. She had long hair tied back in a ponytail, and looked like she had been working on something mechanical. There was oil on her cheek. I'm from Daegu, Heejin said. Another city on Terra. Captain, what's this about? I'm in the middle of fixing the engine. One more, Tae-min said. Dong-hyun, where are you from? The third face belonged to his medic. Dong-hyun had a calm expression and kind eyes. Incheon, he said. Near Seoul. Is everything okay, Captain? Everything's fine, Tae-min said. Just having an interesting conversation with the Galactic Council. I'll explain later. He ended the call and put the device back in his pocket. Vexel was very still. His glow had changed from blue to something closer to purple. This is unprecedented. We must verify your claims. We must run tests. Tests? Tae-min asked. We need to see if what you say is true, the insect alien said. We need proof that you can survive conditions that would kill any other known species. We need to understand how this is possible. What kind of tests? Tae-min asked. He didn't like the sound of this. Vexel moved closer to Tae-min. Nothing harmful, I promise you. We simply want to observe your capabilities, your resistance to gravity, your ability to process different atmospheres, your physical strength, your healing abilities. If you truly come from the Deathworld, then you must possess abilities that we cannot even imagine. Tae-min thought about it for a moment. Okay, he said finally. But my whole crew participates. I'm not doing this alone, and you don't do anything that could hurt us or them. Agreed, Vexel said. We will prepare the testing facility immediately. This will take a few hours. You may return to your ship and inform your crew. We will call you when we are ready. Tae-min nodded and walked toward the exit. As he left, he could hear the aliens behind him starting to talk again. Their voices were filled with wonder and fear and excitement. He had just told the entire Galactic Council that humans came from the most dangerous planet in known space. He wasn't sure if that was going to be a good thing or a bad thing. Back on his ship, Tae-min gathered his crew in the common area. Jiwoo, Heejin, and Dong-hyun sat around the small table and looked at him with curious expressions. So, Jiwoo said, are you going to tell us what that was all about? Tae-min took a deep breath. The Galactic Council has been calling Terra a death world. They say it's impossible for any species to live there. They didn't know we existed. Heejin laughed. They think Terra is deadly? Have they seen some of the places in this galaxy? There are planets made of poison gas, planets with acid rain that can melt metal, planets where the ground is always on fire. Apparently Terra is worse than all of those, Tae-min said, at least according to their data. They think the gravity should crush us, the air should kill us, the weather should destroy us. And don't even get them started on the predators, Dong-hyun smiled. So what you're saying is that we're scary to them. Very scary, Tae-min said. They want to run tests on us. See what makes us special. See how we can survive on a planet that should be impossible to live on. Tests could be interesting, Heejin said. I've always wondered how we compare to other species. I mean, we know we're stronger than most aliens we meet. But exactly how much stronger? I guess we're about to find out, Jiwoo said. When do these tests start? In a few hours, Tae-min said. They're setting up a testing facility now, and I told them all of us would participate. Hope that's okay. Fine with me, Dong-hyun said. Should be fun to show these aliens what humans can do. Jiwoo grinned. Think they'll believe us when we tell them that Terra is actually pretty nice? Good weather, beautiful oceans, lots of food? Probably not, Tae-min said. But maybe after the test they'll start to understand. We're not fragile. We're not weak. We come from a world that made us strong. And maybe, just maybe, that's going to change everything. The crew sat in silence for a moment thinking about what this all meant. Then Heejin stood up. Well, if we're going to show off for the Galactic Council, I should probably fix that engine issue first. Can't have our ship breaking down right when everyone's watching us. The others laughed. They had a few hours before the tests began. A few hours before they showed the galaxy what humans were really capable of. A few hours before everything changed. The testing facility was enormous. It took up an entire level of the space station. When Taemin and his crew arrived, they found dozens of aliens waiting for them. Scientists, doctors, and researchers from many different species. All of them wanted to see if humans were really as impossible as they seemed. Ambassador Vexel was there too. His crystal body glowed softly in the bright lights of the facility. "Welcome," he said. "Thank you for agreeing to this. What we learned today could change our understanding of evolution and survival." "No problem," Taemin said. "Where do we start?" A small alien stepped forward. It had 6 legs and wore some kind of white coat. "We will begin with gravity tests," it said in a squeaky voice. "Please follow me, Pilot Jiwoo." Jiwoo looked at Taemin. He nodded. She followed the alien into a large room with white walls. In the center of the room was a circular platform. "Please stand on the platform," the alien scientist said. "We will gradually increase the gravity. Tell us when it becomes uncomfortable." Jiwoo stepped onto the platform. She stood there with her arms at her sides, looking relaxed. The aliens watched through a large window. Taemin, Heejin, and Donghyun watched with them. "Starting at 1.2 times standard gravity," the scientist announced. Numbers appeared on screens around the room. Jiwoo didn't move. She just stood there, still looking relaxed. "Increasing to 1.5, the scientist said. The aliens watching leaned forward. At this gravity level, most species would start to feel pressure. Their bodies would feel heavier. Moving would become difficult. Jiwoo yawned. Actually yawned. Like she was bored. 1.8, the scientist said. Its voice sounded worried now. Jiwoo started doing jumping jacks. Up and down. Her arms and legs moving easily despite the increased gravity. Some of the watching aliens made sounds of surprise. 2 times standard gravity, the scientist announced. This is impossible. At this level, most species cannot even stand. Their bones begin to crack. Their organs start to fail. Jiwoo stopped doing jumping jacks. She bent down and did 5 push-ups. Then she stood up and stretched her arms above her head. "Is that it?" she asked. "This is about the same as Terra's gravity. Maybe a tiny bit more. Feels normal to me." The room full of watching aliens went completely silent. Then they all started talking at once. Vexel's crystal body was glowing very brightly now. He looked like he couldn't believe what he had just seen. "Next test," another alien called out. This one was tall and thin with purple skin. "Atmospheric tolerance." "Engineer Hyejin, please come with me." Hyejin wiped her hands on her work pants and followed the purple alien to a different room. This room had a sealed chamber made of clear material. She could see pipes and machines connected to it. "Please enter the chamber," the purple alien said. "We will introduce different atmospheric compositions. Some will contain compounds that are toxic to most life forms. Tell us immediately if you feel any discomfort." Heejin nodded and stepped into the chamber. The door sealed behind her with a hiss. She stood in the middle of the space, her arms crossed, looking at the aliens through the clear walls. "Beginning with standard oxygen-nitrogen mix at Terra levels," the purple alien said. 21% oxygen, 78% nitrogen trace elements. Heejin took a deep breath. "Feels like home," she said. Her voice came through speakers built into the chamber. "Now adding carbon dioxide," the alien said. "Increasing to 5%. Numbers changed on the screens. The watching aliens looked worried. 5% carbon dioxide would make most species dizzy. Some would pass out. Others would die, Heejin breathed normally. "I can feel it," she said. "The air is thicker. But I'm fine. Humans can tolerate quite a bit of carbon dioxide. Not forever, but for a while." "Reducing oxygen to 15%, the alien said. Heejin took a few deep breaths. "Okay, that's noticeable. Feels like being on a mountain. Thin air, but still breathable. Some humans live at high altitudes on Terra, where the oxygen is this low. They adapt to it." The purple alien looked at its notes. It seemed confused. "Adding trace amounts of sulfur compounds. These are toxic to 95% of known species." A yellow gas started to mix into the air in the chamber. Heejin wrinkled her nose. "Smells bad," she said. "Like rotten eggs. But I'm not dying or anything. Just unpleasant." More surprised sounds from the watching aliens. Vexel was writing something down on a device. His hands were shaking slightly. That's enough, the purple alien said. We have seen enough. Returning atmosphere to normal. Please exit the chamber, Engineer Hyojin. Hyojin walked out of the chamber and rejoined her crew. That was weird, she said. But not as bad as the time I had to fix the air recycler and breathed in coolant fumes for 10 minutes. That was much worse. Taman patted her on the shoulder. You did great. Physical resilience test, called out another alien. This one was covered in thick scales and had claws on its hands. Captain Taman, if you please. Taman followed the scaled alien to a third room. This room had various exercise equipment and testing devices. We want to measure your strength and endurance, the alien said, and then we will test your pain tolerance and healing capabilities. For the next hour, Taman went through test after test. He lifted weights that were supposed to be too heavy for someone his size. He ran on a machine until most species would collapse from exhaustion. He kept going. The aliens kept increasing the difficulty. He kept passing every test. Finally, the scaled alien held up a small device. This will deliver a mild electric shock, it said. Most species find it quite painful. We use it to test pain tolerance. Are you ready? Taman held out his arm. Go ahead. The alien pressed the device against Taman's skin. A small shock passed through him. He flinched slightly but didn't pull away. That tingles, he said. Increasing intensity, the alien said. It pressed the device against Taman's arm again. This time the shock was stronger. Taman gritted his teeth. Okay, that one hurt a bit, but I've had worse. Ever touched a live wire while fixing a ship? That's much worse. The last test was for Dong Hyun. He was taken to a medical bay where alien doctors waited with various instruments. We want to test your healing abilities, one of them said. It was a floating creature that looked like a jellyfish. We will make a small cut on your arm. Nothing serious. We want to see how quickly you heal. Dong Hyun rolled up his sleeve. I'm a medic, so I know about this stuff. Human healing is pretty good. Not the fastest in the universe, probably, but solid. The jellyfish alien made a small cut on Dong Hyun's forearm with a sterile blade. Blood appeared immediately. Red human blood. The alien doctors leaned in to watch closely. The bleeding is stopping already, one doctor said. Clotting factors are working rapidly. This is within 2 minutes of the injury. Yeah, human blood clots pretty fast, Dong Hyun said. Evolutionary advantage. When you live on a planet full of things that want to eat you, you need to be able to stop bleeding quickly. They watched the cut for another 10 minutes. Already a scab was starting to form. The doctors made excited sounds and took many notes. In a few days this will be completely healed, Dong Hyun said. Maybe a week at most. Might leave a small scar, but those fade over time too. The human body is good at repairing itself. When all the tests were finished, the 4 humans stood together in the center of the facility. Around them, alien scientists and doctors talked in excited voices. They compared notes. They checked data. They couldn't believe what they had seen. Ambassador Vexel approached the crew. His crystal body was glowing the brightest Taemin had ever seen it. This is remarkable, Vexel said. Truly remarkable. You have exceeded every expectation. You have survived conditions that should kill you. You possess strength beyond your size. You heal from injuries that would be permanent for many species. You are incredible, Taemin smiled. We're just humans, he said. This is normal for us. This is what Terra made us. Terra. Vexel repeated the word slowly. The Deathworld, the impossible planet. And yet it created the most resilient species we have ever encountered. He paused. Captain Taemin, the Galactic Council must see this world for ourselves. We must visit Terra. We must understand how such a place exists. Will you take us there? The 4 humans looked at each other. Then they all smiled. Sure, Taemin said. We'd be happy to show you our home. Just one warning, though. You might want to bring some protective equipment. What's normal for us might be a bit intense for you. The journey to Terra took 3 weeks. Ambassador Vexel brought a ship full of scientists, doctors, and council members. They wanted to see the Deathworld with their own eyes. They wanted to understand how humans could possibly come from such a deadly place. During the journey, the aliens asked Taemin and his crew thousands of questions. What was Terra really like? How did humans live there? What did they eat? How did they survive the weather? The predators? The diseases? Taemin did his best to answer. He told them about cities with millions of people, about farms that grew food, about oceans full of fish, about mountains and forests and deserts. He told them about rain and snow and sunshine, about hot summers and cold winters. The aliens listened with wide eyes. Everything he described sounded impossible to them. How could so many humans live together? How could they grow food on such a dangerous planet? How did they survive the temperature changes? You have to understand, Jiwoo explained one day in the ship's meeting room. She was surrounded by a dozen alien scientists. Terra isn't trying to kill us. It's our home. Yes, there are dangers, but there's also beauty, safety, comfort. Most humans live their entire lives without facing any serious danger from nature. But the predators, one scientist said. It was a small creature with blue fur. You showed us images. Creatures with fangs and claws. How do you avoid them? Most predators avoid humans, Heejin said. We're big and loud and we smell wrong to them. They prefer easier prey. And the really dangerous ones like sharks or bears or tigers, they live in specific areas. Most humans never even see them. I grew up in a city. The most dangerous animal I ever saw was a stray dog. The aliens found this hard to believe. On their worlds, dangerous creatures were rare. Predators had been eliminated or contained long ago. The idea of living alongside creatures that could kill you seemed insane to them. What about diseases? Another alien asked. This one looked like a walking plant. Surely the microorganisms on Terra are hostile. Our immune systems handle most of them, Dong-hyun said. He was the medic, so he knew about this. Yes, we get sick sometimes. Colds, flu, infections, but our bodies fight back. White blood cells, antibodies, fever response. The human immune system is really good at its job. And we've developed medicine to help when it's not enough. Fever response? The plant alien asked. You increase your body temperature when sick? That would kill most species. It helps kill the infection, Dong-hyun explained. Our bodies can handle the heat. Usually we go up a few degrees, sometimes more if it's serious. Yes, it feels bad, but it works. Every answer led to more questions. The aliens couldn't understand how humans had adapted to Terra. It seemed impossible. Yet here were 4 humans living proof that it was true. Finally, after 3 long weeks, they arrived at Terra's solar system. The ship's sensors picked up the planet from millions of miles away. Blue and green and white spinning slowly in space. Ambassador Vexel stood on the bridge, staring at the view screen. His crystal body was glowing very brightly. There it is, he said softly. The Deathworld, planet X7749, Terra. It's beautiful from up here, Taemin said. He stood next to the ambassador, looking at his home planet for the first time in years. Wait until you see it up close. Before we descend, Vexel said, we must prepare. The gravity, the atmosphere, the dangers. We will need protective suits. Enhanced breathing apparatus, gravity compensators, weapons in case of predator attacks. Taemin tried not to laugh. You really don't need weapons. We're landing near a city, Seoul, where I grew up. It's perfectly safe. Millions of humans live there. Still, Vexel said firmly, we will take precautions. We cannot risk the lives of the council members. It took another 6 hours to prepare. The aliens put on special suits that would protect them from Terra's atmosphere. They activated gravity compensators to help them move in the higher gravity. They carried medical kits and communication devices and emergency beacons. They were prepared for the worst. Meanwhile, Taemin and his crew just put on regular clothes. T-shirts and pants, normal shoes. No special equipment needed. The ship entered Terra's atmosphere. Immediately, alarms started going off. Wind shear, atmospheric turbulence, temperature fluctuations. The alien pilots gripped their controls tightly as the ship shook and rattled. This is normal entry turbulence, Jiwoo said calmly. It always feels rough going through the atmosphere. But we're fine. The ship can handle it. The aliens didn't look convinced. They held onto their seats and watched the view screen with terrified expressions as clouds rushed past and the ship shuddered. Then they broke through the clouds. Below them was Seoul, a massive city with buildings stretching as far as the eye could see. Roads filled with vehicles, parks with green trees, a river running through the center. Lights everywhere, even though it was daytime. 8 billion humans, Vexel whispered. They said 8 billion. I didn't truly believe it until now. Look at this city. It must house millions, about 10 million, Taemin said. And Seoul isn't even the biggest city on Terra. There are larger ones. Tokyo, Delhi, Shanghai. Humans build cities everywhere. Mountains, coasts, deserts, even in frozen areas near the poles. The ship landed in a cleared area outside the city. Taemin had sent messages ahead so the local government knew they were coming. A group of human officials waited near the landing site. The ship's door opened. Taman walked out first, breathing deeply. Terra's air filled his lungs, the air he had grown up breathing. It felt wonderful, heavy and rich and full of oxygen. Real Terra oxygen, not the thin recycled air of space stations. His crew followed him out. They all smiled as they breathed Terra's air. Home. They were home. Then the aliens came out. They moved slowly, carefully, their protective suits making soft humming sounds as gravity compensators worked to keep them upright. They looked around with wide eyes at the blue sky and green grass and distant buildings. Ambassador Vexel took a few steps forward. His crystal body sparkled in Terra's sunlight. "The gravity," he said. "Even with the compensators, I can feel it so strong. How do you live with this constant pressure?" "You get used to it," Taman said. "You were born with it. You grow up with it. Your muscles develop to handle it. Your bones become dense and strong. It's just normal." A bird flew overhead. Just a common pigeon. But the aliens all jumped and pointed at it. "Predator," one of them shouted. "That's a pigeon," Heejin said, trying not to laugh. "It eats seeds and breadcrumbs. It's completely harmless. Children feed them in the parks." The aliens watched the bird until it disappeared. They seemed relieved, but still nervous. Everything on Terra looked dangerous to them. Even a simple bird. The sky darkened slightly. Clouds were moving in from the west. The aliens looked up in alarm. "Storm approaching?" Vexel asked. "Should we return to the ship?" "That's not a storm," Donghyun said. "Those are just regular clouds. They might bring some rain later." "Light rain, probably. Nothing dangerous." "Rain," another alien said. "The acid rain you mentioned. We should definitely seek shelter." "Terra's rain isn't acidic," Taman explained. "Well, not in most places, and not enough to hurt you. It's just water. Clean water falling from the sky. It's actually quite pleasant, refreshing." The aliens looked at each other. Water falling from the sky that didn't hurt you. That seemed as impossible as everything else about this planet. "Come on," Taman said. "Let me show you the city. Let me show you how humans really live. You'll see that Terra isn't trying to kill us. It's our home. And once you spend some time here, you might even start to understand why we love it so much." Vexel nodded slowly. "Very well. Lead the way, Captain. Show us your Deathworld. Show us Terra." They started walking toward the city. The aliens moved carefully in their protective suits. The humans walked normally, enjoying the feeling of Terra's gravity and Terra's air. Behind them, the ship sat quietly in the grass. And above them, Terra's sun shone down from a blue sky dotted with harmless clouds. The real tour was about to begin. The walk to Seoul took 20 minutes. For the humans, it was an easy stroll. For the aliens, even with their gravity compensators and protective suits, it was exhausting. By the time they reached the city's edge, several of them were breathing heavily through their suit filters. The city itself amazed them. Buildings rose high into the sky. Streets were filled with vehicles carrying humans from place to place. Sidewalks were crowded with people walking, talking, laughing. Children played in parks. Old people sat on benches. Everywhere the aliens looked, they saw humans living normal lives. "They're not afraid," one alien scientist said. The creature had tentacles instead of arms. "They walk around without any protection, without weapons, without even looking worried." "Why would they be afraid?" Jiwoo asked. "This is a safe city, low crime rate, good infrastructure. People live their whole lives here without any problems." "But the dangers," the alien insisted. "The predators, the weather, the gravity constantly trying to crush them." "There are no predators in the city," Taemin explained. "Humans eliminated dangerous animals from populated areas thousands of years ago. As for the weather, we have buildings for shelter, clothing for different temperatures. We adapted. And the gravity? We don't even think about it. It's just how things are." They passed a playground where children were playing. Human children, running and jumping and climbing on metal structures. They were laughing and shouting and having fun. The aliens stopped to watch. "Those young ones," Vexel said quietly. "They're so small, so fragile looking, yet they move in this gravity as if it were nothing. They climb high without fear of falling. They run without exhaustion." "Human children are tough," Donghyun said with a smile. "They fall down all the time, scrape their knees, bump their heads. They cry for a minute, then they get up and keep playing. Their bodies heal fast. Their bones are strong. They're built for Terra just like the rest of us." One child, a little girl about 6 years old, noticed the aliens. She walked over to them with curiosity in her eyes. "Are you from space?" she asked in Korean. Taemin's translator converted it for the aliens to understand. "Yes," Vexel said. His voice came through his suit's speakers. "We are from very far away," the girl smiled. "Cool, do you want to play? We're having fun on the swings." The aliens looked at each other, unsure how to respond. This tiny human child was inviting them to play. On Terra, the Deathworld, it seemed absurd. "Maybe later," Taemin told the girl gently. "These visitors need to rest." "But thank you for asking." The girl shrugged and ran back to her friends. The aliens watched her go, unable to speak. A child, a young, defenseless child, playing outside without supervision, without protection, without fear, on the most dangerous planet in the known galaxy. They continued walking. Heejin led them to a small restaurant. "You should try human food," she said. "It's one of the best parts of Terra." Inside the restaurant, they sat at a large table. The human owner looked surprised to see aliens, but quickly became excited. "Welcome to Terra," he said in English. "What would you like to eat?" The aliens couldn't eat human food, of course. Their biology was too different. But they watched as Taemin and his crew ordered various dishes. Rice, vegetables, meat, soup, simple food from Terra. "The plants here," one alien said. "You eat them?" "But many plants on Terra are toxic. How do you know which ones are safe?" "Humans have been eating plants for hundreds of thousands of years," Hyejin said between bites. "We learned which ones are good and which ones are dangerous. We domesticated the good ones, grew them in farms. Now we have huge varieties of food, thousands of different plants we can eat safely. And the meat," another alien said, pointing at what Taemin was eating. "That's from one of your predators?" "This is chicken," Taemin said. "From a bird we domesticated. We raise them for food. Same with cows, pigs, fish. We don't hunt dangerous predators. We raise animals specifically for eating. It's safer and more efficient." The aliens absorbed this information. Humans had taken their dangerous world and made it work for them. They had learned which plants to eat. They had domesticated animals. They had built cities and created safe spaces. They hadn't just survived Terra. They had conquered it. After lunch, the first drops of rain began to fall. The clouds that had been gathering earlier finally released their water. The aliens immediately became agitated, checking their suits and looking for shelter. But the humans on the street didn't panic. Some opened umbrellas. Some pulled up hoods on their jackets. Some just walked through the rain as if it were nothing. Children laughed and jumped in puddles. "It's just rain," Donghyun said. He held out his hand and let raindrops fall on it. "Clean water. Not acidic. Not toxic, just rain. It actually feels nice. Cooling." Jiwoo took off her jacket and stood in the rain, letting it soak her hair. "I miss this," she said with a smile. "Space stations don't have rain. This is pure Terra rain. This is home." The aliens watched in disbelief as humans walked through the rain without protection. Some were even smiling. They looked happy, comfortable, safe. They spent the rest of the day exploring the city. They visited a hospital and saw human doctors healing the sick. They visited a school and saw human children learning. They visited a market and saw thousands of different foods and products. They saw art and music and technology. Everywhere they went, they saw humans thriving. Not just surviving, but actually living good lives. Building things, creating things, laughing and loving and dreaming. On a planet that the Galactic Council had declared impossible to inhabit. As the sun began to set, they returned to the landing site. The aliens were exhausted. Even with their protective equipment, a single day on Terra had worn them out. But they had seen enough. They had witnessed the impossible. Ambassador Vexel stood at the ship's entrance looking back at the city. The lights were coming on as darkness fell. Millions of lights in a city of millions of humans. "I understand now," he said softly. "This planet didn't try to kill you. It made you strong. It forced you to adapt, to survive, to overcome. And in doing so, it created the most resilient species in the galaxy." "We're just humans," Taemin said. "This is just our home." "No," Vexel said, turning to face him. His crystal body glowed softly in the fading light. "You are more than that. You are proof that life finds a way. That intelligence can triumph over any challenge. That evolution can create miracles." He paused, then spoke again. "Captain Taemin, I will recommend to the Galactic Council that humanity be granted full membership. Not as observers, not as junior members, but as equals. You have earned that right. You have proven yourselves 1,000 times over simply by existing. Taman smiled. Thank you, Ambassador. That means a lot. But I must warn you, Vexel continued. When word spreads about Terra and its people, everything will change. Other species will fear you. Some will respect you. Some will want to study you. You will become famous across the galaxy. The humans from the Deathworld, the species that survived the impossible. We can handle it, Jiwoo said confidently. We handled Terra. We can handle anything. Vexel made a sound that might have been laughter. Yes, I believe you can. The aliens boarded their ship and prepared for departure. As they lifted off, they looked down at Terra one last time. The Deathworld, the impossible planet, the birthplace of humanity. Word spread quickly through the galaxy. Within weeks, every species knew about Terra and its people. The planet that should have been barren was home to 8 billion humans. The environment that should have been deadly was where they thrived. The conditions that would kill any other species were normal to them. Humanity's application to the Galactic Council was approved unanimously. No one dared to vote against them. No one wanted to anger the species that came from the Deathworld. Terra became legendary. Young aliens from across the galaxy learned about it in their schools. Scientists studied it from orbit, though few dared to land. Diplomats spoke of it with respect and wonder. It was the most famous planet in known space, and humans, they just kept living their lives. Working, playing, building, creating. They explored the galaxy with confidence, knowing that if they could survive Terra, they could survive anything. Taman continued his work as a merchant captain. But now, whenever he visited other worlds, aliens would recognize him. You're from Terra, they would say with awe in their voices. The Deathworld. And Taman would always smile and give the same answer. That's right. That's my home. And you know what? It's a pretty nice place once you get used to it. His crew would laugh at the confused expressions on the aliens' faces. Because to humans, Terra wasn't a death world. It wasn't impossible. It wasn't even particularly dangerous. It was just home. The place where they were born. The place where they belonged. The place that had made them who they were. Terra, Earth, home. The most dangerous planet in the galaxy. And the most beautiful. Years later, when historians wrote about humanity's entry into the Galactic Council, they always included Ambassador Vexel's words from his official report, words that would become famous across the galaxy. We spoke of a death world beyond imagination, a planet so hostile that no life should exist there, an environment so deadly that even our most advanced technology could barely protect us. We were terrified of what we might find.